Do you fear not succeeding? Imagine if I told you that actually the secret to your success is failure, not your enemy. This video will show how, as advised by the great Miyamoto Musashi, embracing failure might help you to reach your actual potential and bring about success. Reason 1. Failure reveals your weaknesses. Although most people view failure as something unpleasant or as evidence of weakness, in fact it is one of the most effective instruments available for personal development. We find our shortcomings by means of failure. The eminent samurai Miyamoto Musashi felt this very strongly. In his work The Work of Five Rings, he discussed the need of self-awareness and knowledge of one's limitations. Failure was not a setback to Musashi. Rather, it was a chance to evaluate his shortcomings and areas for development. Failure serves as a mirror revealing the spheres of your life where you could be lacking. Whether it's in your personal growth, relationships, or profession, failing reveals where you should focus more. It calls attention to your shortcomings, errors, and faults, but it also offers an opportunity for correction. Dealing with your shortcomings head-on will help you grow more self-aware and make required changes in your attitude. Without failing, you may stay on a road of contentment, never realizing where you might grow. Failure pushes you to look inside and throws you from your comfort zone. Although Musashi experienced failure all his life, every setback informed him fresh about his swordsmanship, technique, and attitude. Failure is the instrument that sharpens your skills and increases your will. It is not anything to worry about. In business, athletics, or any other sphere of life, failure exposes your weaknesses in preparation, knowledge, and ability. You will never really comprehend your constraints if you are always successful without challenge. When you ignore your shortcomings, success turns hollow. Embracing failure, however, lets you learn from it and get stronger with every mistake. Reason 2. Failure builds resilience. Failure is a chance to grow resilient rather than a fear or avoidance tool. Resilience is the capacity to rise from difficulty and keep on forward despite obstacles. Resilience is something we must develop since it will enable us to overcome difficulties and keep on in face of adversity. Renowned warrior Miyamoto Musashi welcomed his setbacks and turned them into motivation for personal development. Resilience, he realized, is developed by tenacity. His capacity to adjust and flourish in trying circumstances came from the lessons he gained following every loss or setback. Failure pushes us to face our shortcomings, which could be depressing, frustrating, or painful. Resilience comes from feeling these things and learning to rise above them. It does not come from avoiding them. The more we experience failure, the more we improve our capacity to gracefully and determinedly manage challenges of life. Failure also comes from perception. Every failure advances our knowledge of ourselves, what works and what doesn't, thereby acting as a stepping stone on our road to success. Resilience built from failure will help us to face our own difficulties with relentless strength. Therefore, failing is a chance to develop mental toughness and resilience, which is the secret to endurance and greatness attainment. Reason 3. Failure teaches valuable lessons. Though in practice it is a great teacher, failure is sometimes considered as the end. Legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi saw that the path to mastery included failure, not something to be feared. Though he had many difficulties and setbacks in his life, every one of them taught him something absolutely vital that helped him to flourish. Failing forces you to face your faults. It asks you to examine what went wrong, assess your strategy, and pinpoint areas of breakdown. Unlike success, which can occasionally blind us with pride, loss provides us a clear chance to identify the shortcomings in our approach, attitude, or ability. Every failure offers a mirror for introspection and insights not possible just from achievement. Turning failure into a lesson starts with this. Failure teaches us endurance. It reminds us that fast success is a fallacy and that nothing worthwhile comes naturally. Over several failures, we grow to be tenacious and relentless. Musashi himself said famously, "Do not seek pleasure for its own sake." This guidance emphasizes the need of overcoming adversity in the search of excellence. In this sense, failing acts as a spur for personal growth. Moreover, mistakes teach humility. It tells us that growth is always possible regardless of our level of experience or ability. Musashi thought that lifetime education was absolutely necessary. Every setback, he realized, was a teaching moment to be absorbed and used going ahead. Failure lets go of the ego and lets more knowledge enter. Failure thus exposes our ignorance of knowledge and ability. It reveals flaws in which we might not have known existed and presents an opportunity to close those gaps with fresh knowledge and abilities. Rather of considering failure as a dead end, we should welcome it as a useful teacher that, given understanding, results in the mastery of our trade. Every obstacle helps us grow wiser, more capable, and more near to our final objective. Reason 4. Failure forces innovation. One of the most strong features of failing is how it forces you to innovate. When circumstances deviate from expectations, you have to be creative and discover fresh approaches to address issues. Failure pushes you to find original answers and stimulates imagination. Musashi's own success came from his capacity for invention and adaptation to the shifting conditions of battle, not only from aptitude. Developed out of a necessity to create a more efficient way to defeat his opponent, his distinct double sword style was well known. When one fails, one easily gets demoralized. Still, you should perceive failure as a challenge to innovate rather than as a dead end. New ideas come to me in those trying times. Failure helps you to approach issues from several aspects and lets you see fresh ideas. Musashi's success in battle was much influenced by his capacity for invention. Instead of using conventional techniques, he created his own fighting style based on his mistakes and open experimentation. When loss pushes you to re-evaluate your strategy in life, you have chance to produce something fresh, something better than what you had before. Innovation emerges from need. It cannot come from luxury. Failure forces that demand of you. Accepting failure as inevitable on the road lets you be creative, take chances, and discover fresh ideas that would have been unthinkable without the knowledge of failure. Reason 5. Failure separates those who quit from those who persist. One's will is tested ultimately by failure. When things are going well, when achievement is within sight and the road seems clear, it's simple to keep going. True character is shown, though, when the journey gets difficult and failure strikes. According to Miyamoto Musashi, the power of the warrior is in rising again following every fall, not in never falling. You have to decide either to give up or keep on when you fail. Musashi talks on the need of relentless effort. Avoiding failure did not define him as great. Rather, it was his embrace of it, learning from it, and application of it to drive his next action. The real mark of a warrior, or anyone aiming for excellence, is not in the lack of failure but in the capacity to keep on forward even if the environment seems weighty. Here, failure functions as a separator. It divides individuals who are ready to go through difficult times from others who give up at the first indication of failure. Those who keep on despite their setbacks are the ones who develop personally, who get more competent, who finally succeed. Their resilience is absolutely crucial. Though it might knock them down, failure does not linger long enough to cause them to collapse. Rather, they apply the knowledge gained and emerge once again, more resolved than before. Conversely, individuals who stop at the slightest hint of failing stay still. Choosing to withdraw from the demands of life, they let their setbacks define them. Musashi understood he could only reach mastery by never giving up, never stopping, and always improving his abilities through unrelenting work. And today this idea is as important. Success is to those who are ready to keep going when times are tough and those who will not give up no matter how many times they fall. Failure thus turns into a useful instrument for personal evaluation. It is evidence of your tenacity. One step closer to success than the guy who gave up is if you can accept defeat and yet keep on. Therefore, instead of considering failure as a dead end, welcome it as a checkpoint, a time to evaluate, grow, and forward. Ultimately, your will, not the lack of failure, determines whether or not you are successful. Reason 6. Failure refines your character. Failure can help you to develop your character in ways that success just cannot. It drives you to face your actual self by removing the delusions, ego, and pride. Musashi thought that experience in the furnace of difficulty shaped character. Every setback molds your values, discipline, and endurance, thereby helping to define you. Experiencing failure sometimes forces you to confront your most intense anxieties, insecurities, and weaknesses directly. Failure compels you to face your shortcomings, but it also provides an opportunity for personal growth above them. This method helps you grow in resilience, humility, and a better awareness of the requirements of success. Character develops at times of difficulty. It does not develop during times of ease. Musashi's dedication to his path went beyond simply learning the sword to include learning his own mind and spirit. Every setback informed him to be more modest, more focused, and more determined. Failure forces you to develop and change in ways that comfort never will allow, therefore strengthening your character. Failure in your own life offers a chance for personal development. It asks you to transcend your situation and grow to be a better version of yourself. Adversity can help you to hone your character, just as Musashi improved his abilities by mistake. Reason 7. Failure brings clarity. One of the most underappreciated advantages of failure is its capacity for clarity building. Failure makes you rethink your strategy, your objectives, and your morals. Failure forces you back off and consider what really counts. Musashi sometimes discussed in his works the need of clarity. He realized that the toughest fighters may be defeated without a clear goal. When you fail in life, you come to know exactly what you actually want and what you are ready to fight for. One gains perspective from failure. It compels you to probe your trip, your goal, and your actual wants critically. Failure presents the chance for you to realign your goals and ambitions so that you are headed in the correct direction going forward. Failure lets you polish your life's goal, much as Musashi improved his methods by means of trial and error. It lets you separate your actual calling from distractions. When you fail, you have to find clarity, that which directs your next actions and drives your will to achieve. The greatest friend on the road toward success is failure. It is not the enemy. Through failure you discover your shortcomings, develop perseverance, learn priceless lessons, inspire creativity, divide those who give up from those who stick to it, hone your character, and get clarity. Accept failure. It is the secret to success.